We live in an age of unprecedented abundance, yet a feeling of lack often persists within us. They sought answers not in the external world, but within the landscape of the human mind. As you move forward from this exploration, consider this. If the relentless pursuit of more is a race without a finish line, what would it mean for you to consciously step off that track, even for a moment, to define what enough truly means for your own unique journey? What forgotten joy might you rediscover in that intentional pause? The constant hunger for more, they observed, is often a symptom of inner disquiet, not material lack. This rat race mindset chains us to a cycle of desire, momentary satisfaction, and renewed craving. Each fleeting pleasure quickly becomes the new baseline, demanding an even greater stimulus next time. This is the hedonic treadmill, a psychological trap well known to those who study human happiness. We are conditioned to believe that external achievements will bring lasting internal peace and joy. But history and philosophy suggest that lasting contentment is an inside job, a state of being cultivated. Escape from this race doesn't mean stagnation, but a redefinition of what truly matters. It involves questioning the script we've been handed about success, happiness, and a life well lived. Several ancient schools of thought offer potent antidotes to this modern malady of perpetual discontent. The modern world whispers a constant refrain: more, faster, better, newer. Is this progress or a gilded cage? Epicureanism, Stoicism, and even Cynicism provide frameworks for finding deep satisfaction in simplicity. Epicurus taught that true pleasure is the absence of pain and turmoil, not endless indulgence. He distinguished between natural, necessary desires and those that are vain and limitless, causing distress. Friendship, simple food, freedom from fear. These were the Epicurean keys to a happy life. The Stoics, on the other hand, emphasized virtue, reason, and living in accordance with nature. They taught focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, judgments, and actions, not external events. Acceptance of fate, or what we cannot change, was crucial for their concept of inner tranquility. The Cynics took an even more radical stance, advocating for a life of extreme simplicity. They rejected societal conventions, wealth, and reputation in pursuit of true freedom and virtue. Though different, these philosophies converge on a powerful idea. Contentment is an attainable inner state. We chase horizons that recede with every step we take forward. This is the invisible treadmill. It requires a conscious shift in perspective, a deliberate unlearning of societal conditioning about lack. The chase for more is often a distraction from asking what enough truly means for you. Defining your personal enough is a deeply liberating act in a world that always demands more. It's about valuing time over treasure, experiences over possessions, and inner peace over external validation. This ancient wisdom challenges the core assumptions of our consumer-driven, achievement-obsessed culture today. Could it be that the relentless pursuit of happiness is precisely what keeps it out of reach? The philosophers suggest true happiness is found not in the chase, but in appreciating the present moment. This journey involves cultivating gratitude for what is, rather than longing for what is not. Escaping the rat race is not about dropping out, but about consciously choosing your own path. It is a shift from a life of driven ambition to one of inspired, intentional living. This relentless pursuit, often unexamined, shapes our lives, our choices, and our very sense of self. Join us as we explore these ancient philosophies and their timeless guidance for finding true contentment. The rat race is more than just a catchy phrase. It's a deeply ingrained cultural script. It describes a relentless pursuit of wealth, status, and success, often at the expense of personal well-being, relationships, and genuine fulfillment. Participants feel compelled to work harder, climb higher, and accumulate more, driven by societal expectations and the fear of falling behind. At the heart of this mindset lies a phenomenon psychologists call hedonic adaptation, or the hedonic treadmill. When we achieve a goal or acquire a desired object, we experience a temporary boost in happiness. However, this feeling soon fades as we adapt to our new circumstances. The new car, the promotion, the bigger house, they become the new normal, and the pursuit of the next thing begins, promising that elusive, lasting happiness once again, always just over the horizon. Societal pressures significantly fuel this race. From a young age, we are often indoctrinated with narrow definitions of success: a prestigious career, material wealth, and a picture-perfect life. Media, advertising, and even well-meaning social circles reinforce these ideals, creating an environment where deviation can feel like failure. The fear of judgment and the desire for external validation become powerful motivators, pushing individuals deeper into the competitive struggle. The illusion of progress in the rat race is particularly insidious. We may accumulate more possessions, titles, or accolades, but true contentment remains elusive. This is because the race itself is often misaligned with our deeper, intrinsic values and human needs, such as connection, meaning, autonomy, and growth. The external markers of success fail to nourish the soul, leading to a persistent, gnawing sense of emptiness despite outward achievements. This relentless striving is not without significant psychological cost. Chronic stress, anxiety, and burnout are common companions for those deeply entrenched in the rat race. The constant pressure to perform and compete can erode mental and physical health, leading to a diminished quality of life. Relationships may suffer due to lack of time and emotional availability, further isolating individuals within their pursuit of external validation and material gain. The fundamental question that the philosophy of enough forces us to confront is, when is it truly enough? Who sets the benchmark for satisfaction? Is it an external standard dictated by society, or an internal measure defined by individual needs and values? Without a personal definition of enough, we are susceptible to an endless chase, always seeking more without understanding why or what we are truly seeking. The pursuit of enough is not about advocating for poverty or rejecting ambition entirely. Rather, it's about discerning what truly contributes to a flourishing life. It's about shifting focus from an insatiable accumulation of more to a mindful cultivation of sufficient. This sufficiency encompasses not just material needs, but also psychological well-being, meaningful relationships, personal growth, and a sense of purpose beyond oneself. Ancient philosophy offers a profound counter-narrative to the modern rat race. Thinkers from diverse traditions recognized the human tendency towards endless desire and offered timeless wisdom on cultivating inner peace and lasting contentment. These are not outdated relics of thought, but practical guides that can help us navigate the complexities of modern life and redefine our relationship with success, happiness, and material possessions. One such philosopher was Epicurus, who lived in ancient Greece around 300 BCE. His philosophy is often misunderstood today as promoting hedonistic indulgence. In reality, Epicureanism advocates for a simple, tranquil life, where pleasure is defined primarily as the absence of pain, aponia, and mental disturbance, ataraxia. He taught that the greatest pleasures are often the easiest to obtain and the hardest to lose. It's a race many of us run, but few question its destination or ultimate prize. Epicurus made a crucial distinction between different types of desires. Natural and necessary desires, like those for basic food, shelter, and companionship, are easy to satisfy and bring genuine contentment. Natural but unnecessary desires, like for luxurious foods or extravagant living, are harder to satisfy and not essential for happiness. Vain and empty desires, such as for fame, power, or immense wealth, are limitless and often lead to anxiety and frustration. For Epicurus, the path to happiness involved minimizing pain and maximizing simple, natural pleasures. He emphasized the importance of friendship, philia, as one of the greatest sources of security and joy. His famous garden in Athens was a community where friends lived simply, engaged in philosophical conversation, and sought tranquility away from the turmoil of public life. The pursuit of ataraxia, or mental tranquility, was central. This meant freeing oneself from irrational fears, especially the fear of death and the gods, as Epicurus conceived them, uninvolved in human affairs. By understanding the natural world and limiting one's desires to what is natural and necessary, one could achieve a stable and enduring state of contentment, independent of the whims of fortune or the endless chase for more. Imagine a life where your happiness isn't tethered to your next promotion, purchase, or social media validation. Epicurus proposed that such a life is not only possible, but is the most rational way to live. It involves a conscious choice to cultivate an appreciation for simple pleasures, a good conversation, a walk in nature, the satisfaction of a task well done, and the security of genuine human connection. These are the riches Epicurus valued. Another powerful philosophical school offering an alternative to the rat race is Stoicism, founded by Zeno of Citium in the early 3rd century BCE. Stoics like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius taught that virtue is the only true good, and that external events are indifferent, neither good nor bad in themselves. Our judgments and responses to these events are what determine our well-being. Central to Stoicism is the dichotomy of control, focusing our energy on what we can influence, our thoughts, judgments, desires, and actions, and accepting what we cannot, external events, other people's actions, fate. This acceptance is not passive resignation, but an active understanding of the natural order of things. By mastering our inner world, we can achieve a state of eudaimonia, or human flourishing, regardless of external circumstances. The Stoics practiced various spiritual exercises to cultivate resilience and wisdom. Premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of adversity, involved imagining potential misfortunes not to dwell on negativity, but to mentally prepare and reduce their impact if they occurred. By anticipating challenges, one could face them with greater equanimity and perspective, understanding that true harm could only come to one's character, not from external events. Living in accordance with nature, or logos, universal reason, was another key Stoic principle. This meant understanding the interconnectedness of all things and fulfilling one's duty within the cosmic order. For humans, this involves using our capacity for reason to live virtuously, treating others with justice and kindness, and contributing to the common good. This provides a profound sense of purpose beyond individual gain, a core element missing in the rat race. Unlike the Epicurean pursuit of tranquility through withdrawal, Stoicism often called for active engagement in the world, but with inner detachment. A Stoic could be a statesman, a soldier, or a teacher, performing their duties diligently, but without their happiness being dependent on the outcomes. Their self-worth came from their virtuous efforts, not from external rewards or recognition. This provides a powerful model for finding meaning in work without succumbing to ambition's pitfalls. Then there were the Cynics, the most radical of these ancient schools, founded by Antisthenes, a student of Socrates, and famously embodied by Diogenes of Sinope. The Cynics believed that the goal of life was eudaimonia achieved by living in accordance with nature physis, and rejecting societal conventions, nomos, deemed artificial and detrimental to virtue. They practiced extreme simplicity, voluntary poverty, and shamelessness to achieve freedom. The pressure to accumulate, to achieve, to constantly upgrade, feels like an unspoken societal law. Cynicism was a direct challenge to the values of wealth, status, and reputation that fueled much of ancient society, much like our own. Diogenes, by living like a dog, Q1, from which cynic derives, sought to expose the folly of conventional pursuits and to demonstrate that happiness could be found in radical self-sufficiency and freedom from desire. While extreme, their critique of materialism and social pretense remains powerfully relevant. So how can we weave these ancient threads of wisdom into the fabric of our modern lives to escape the rat race mindset? It begins with conscious awareness, recognizing the subtle and overt pressures that push us towards endless striving. It involves introspection, asking ourselves what truly brings us joy, meaning, and contentment beyond what society dictates. This is the first step towards defining our personal enough. Practicing mindfulness and gratitude are practical applications of these philosophies. Mindfulness, akin to Stoic attention prasach, helps us appreciate the present moment rather than constantly dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Gratitude, a core Epicurean sentiment, shifts our focus from what we lack to the abundance we already possess, whether material, relational, or experiential. Regularly acknowledging these can rewire our brains for contentment. Intentional living is another key. This means making deliberate choices about how we spend our time, energy, and resources, aligning them with our deepest values rather than passively following societal trends. It might involve simplifying our lives, decluttering not just our physical spaces, but also our commitments, and saying no to things that don't genuinely contribute to our well-being, even if they promise external rewards. This is the Epicurean art of selecting pleasures wisely. Redefining success is crucial. If society's definition of success, often centered on wealth and status, is the engine of the rat race, then crafting a personal definition is the escape hatch. Success could mean strong relationships, personal growth, contributing to a cause larger than oneself, creative expression, or simply having ample time for leisure and reflection. This internal scorecard is far more fulfilling than any external validation. Similarly, we must redefine wealth. True wealth, as these philosophers understood, extends far beyond monetary assets. It includes time affluence, having enough time for what matters. It encompasses rich experiences, strong social connections, Epicurean friendship, inner peace, Stoic ataraxia/apatheia, good health, and the freedom to pursue one's passions. These are forms of wealth the rat race often depletes in its pursuit of financial gain. Escaping the rat race is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice, a lifelong journey of self-awareness and intentional choice. There will always be external pressures and internal temptations to revert to old patterns of striving. The key is to cultivate the philosophical tools, the discernment of Epicurus, the resilience of the Stoics, even the critical perspective of the Cynics, to navigate these challenges with wisdom and grace. In summary, the problem of the rat race is the endless, often unconscious pursuit of external validation and material gain, driven by societal conditioning and the hedonic treadmill. This leads to stress, dissatisfaction, and a life misaligned with deeper values. Ancient philosophies like Epicureanism, Stoicism, and Cynicism offer potent antidotes, redefining pleasure, focusing on inner virtue, and embracing simplicity. Key takeaways include the importance of defining your personal enough, distinguishing between natural needs and artificial desires, cultivating inner resilience to external pressures, and valuing time, relationships, and experiences over mere possessions. It's about shifting from a reactive life of accumulation to a proactive life of intention, guided by your own well-considered principles. This journey towards enough is ultimately a journey towards greater freedom, freedom from the anxieties of constant comparison, freedom from the tyranny of insatiable desires, and freedom to live a life that is authentically your own. It is a quiet rebellion against a culture of excess, and a profound affirmation of the enduring value of inner contentment. It is perhaps one of the most vital endeavors in our modern world. But what if this endless striving is not the path to fulfillment, but away from it entirely? So we leave you with this reflection. In your own life, what does enough truly look like? And what single, small step can you take today, inspired by these ancient sages, to move closer to that personal vision of contentment and purposeful living, away from the relentless churn of the race that has no true finish line? The wisdom of Epicurus reminds us that simple pleasures, good health, and genuine friendships are often the most profound sources of lasting joy. He encouraged a rational assessment of our desires, pruning those that lead to turmoil and cultivating those that contribute to a peaceful, enjoyable life. This is not about deprivation, but about a sophisticated understanding of what truly nourishes the human spirit. Consider the modern tendency towards fear of missing out, or FOMO. Epicurus might see this as a classic vain desire, fueled by external comparisons and leading to anxiety. His antidote would be to cultivate JOMO, the joy of missing out, by finding contentment in one's own chosen activities and company, free from the need to constantly chase external validation or fleeting experiences hyped by others. The Stoic emphasis on virtue as the sole good offers a radical reorientation of our values. If our primary aim is to cultivate wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, then external achievements and possessions become secondary. Our self-worth is derived from our character and our efforts to act rightly, which are always within our control, unlike the unpredictable nature of wealth, reputation, or even health. Applying Stoic principles means practicing emotional regulation, not suppression. It's about acknowledging our feelings but choosing rational responses over impulsive reactions. When faced with setbacks, a Stoic approach involves asking, "What part of this is within my control?" and focusing one's energy there while accepting the aspects that are not. This builds immense psychological resilience and inner peace. The Cynic challenge to live authentically, even if it means rejecting societal norms, can inspire us to question our own compromises. While few might adopt Diogenes' extreme lifestyle, his spirit encourages us to identify areas where we might be conforming out of fear or habit, rather than genuine conviction. It prompts us to live with greater integrity and courage, prioritizing our authentic selves over social approval. The concept of enough is not static. It can evolve throughout our lives. What constitutes sufficiency in one phase of life may differ in another. The key is to engage in regular self-reflection and consciously adjust our aims and desires as we grow and our circumstances change. This ongoing dialogue with ourselves, guided by these philosophical principles, keeps us aligned with a life of meaning and contentment. One practical exercise is to define your ideal ordinary day, not a fantasy vacation, but a truly satisfying, sustainable day-to-day existence. What activities would it include? What kind of work, leisure, social interaction? How much is enough to support this vision? This can provide a concrete benchmark against which to measure life choices, rather than an abstract, ever-increasing desire for more. The fear of scarcity, often irrational in affluent societies, is a major driver of the rat race. Ancient philosophies help us confront this fear. Epicurus by showing how little is truly needed for happiness, Stoics by emphasizing inner riches over external ones, and Cynics by demonstrating freedom in radical simplicity. Cultivating an abundance mindset, focusing on what we have and our capacity to cope, can counteract this deep-seated anxiety. It's also crucial to distinguish between genuine ambition that stems from a desire to contribute and grow versus ambition driven by ego or a need to fill an inner void. Healthy ambition can coexist with a philosophy of enough. It's about striving for excellence and purpose, not for endless accumulation or status for its own sake. The enough comes from knowing your efforts are aligned with your values. What if the true treasure lies not in acquiring more, but in recognizing what is enough? The community aspect, so vital to Epicurus, is often overlooked in modern individualistic pursuits. Cultivating strong, supportive relationships provides resilience, joy, and a sense of belonging that no amount of material wealth can replicate. Investing time and energy in friendships and community is a direct path to a richer, more secure life, a core component of enough. The modern digital world, with its constant connectivity and social media comparisons, can significantly exacerbate the rat race mentality. It creates an environment of perpetual performance and curated realities. Applying these ancient philosophies might involve a conscious digital declutter or setting firm boundaries to protect one's mental space and focus on real-world presence and contentment. True freedom, as the Cynics radically proposed, involves a degree of detachment from material possessions and societal approval. While not advocating for living in a barrel, we can cultivate a lighter relationship with our belongings and reputation, recognizing their impermanence and their limited ability to provide lasting happiness. This detachment reduces fear of loss and increases our capacity for joy in simple existence. The practice of negative visualization, premeditatio malorum, from Stoicism can be surprisingly effective in increasing gratitude for what we have. By contemplating the loss of things we often take for granted, our health, loved ones, basic comforts, we come to appreciate them more deeply in the present. This isn't pessimism, but a tool for enhancing present joy and resilience against future adversity. Ultimately, finding enough is about aligning your outer life with your inner truth. It's a deeply personal journey of discovery, discipline, and ongoing adjustment. The philosophies of Epicurus, the Stoics, and the Cynics don't offer a one-size-fits-all prescription, but rather a compass and a toolkit for navigating the complexities of human desire and finding enduring peace in a world that constantly tempts us with more. The challenge is to move beyond intellectual understanding to lived practice. Start small. Identify one area where the rat race mentality has a grip on you. Perhaps it's a specific desire, a fear, or a habit of comparison. Then, choose one principle or practice from these philosophies to apply to that specific area. Consistent, small changes can lead to profound shifts over time. Consider the story of King Midas, whose touch turned everything to gold. Initially a blessing, it became a curse, robbing him of simple human pleasures, even the ability to eat or embrace his loved ones. This ancient myth serves as a potent allegory for the rat race. The relentless pursuit of one form of value, material wealth, can devalue everything else that truly sustains life and happiness. The Epicurean ideal of ataraxia, freedom from disturbance, is a powerful counterpoint to the anxiety-ridden chase for success. It's not about apathy, but a calm, clear-minded state achieved by understanding what truly matters and letting go of destructive desires and fears. Imagine the mental energy freed up when one is not constantly worried about status, accumulation, or outdoing others. Stoic cosmopolitanism, the idea that we are all citizens of the world, encourages a broader perspective beyond our individual struggles. Fulfilling our duties to humanity, acting with justice and benevolence, can provide a profound sense of purpose that transcends personal gain. This outward focus can paradoxically lead to greater inner contentment by diminishing the ego's incessant demands. The modern emphasis on hustle culture often glorifies burnout as a badge of honor. The philosophy of enough directly challenges this. It suggests that true productivity includes rest, reflection, and rejuvenation. It values sustainable effort over frantic activity, recognizing that a life well lived requires balance, not a constant state of depletion in pursuit of ever-receding goals. This isn't a new question. Ancient philosophers grappled with this very same human predicament centuries ago. Defining enough allows for the conscious enjoyment of sufficiency. When you know what is adequate for your well-being and contentment, you can truly savor what you have, rather than immediately looking for the next upgrade or acquisition. This mindful appreciation of the present moment and present blessings is a cornerstone of a genuinely rich life, irrespective of material wealth. Escaping the rat race is not about rejecting material comfort or ambition, but about putting them in their proper place, as tools to support a life of purpose and well-being, not as ends in themselves. It's about ensuring your pursuits serve your deepest values, rather than your values being subverted by your pursuits. This recalibration is an act of profound self-mastery. The journey to enough often involves periods of unlearning societal scripts that have been deeply internalized. This requires courage and a willingness to be different. It may mean disappointing others' expectations or choosing a path less understood, but the reward is authenticity and a peace that the conventional race can rarely offer. The power of enough lies in its ability to liberate us from the anxiety of comparison. When your definition of success and happiness is internal, the achievements and possessions of others become less relevant. You can genuinely celebrate their successes without feeling diminished and pursue your own path with greater focus and joy. Remember that these ancient philosophers were not abstract theorists removed from life. Many, like Seneca, a wealthy statesman, or Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, were deeply engaged in worldly affairs. Their wisdom comes from practical experience in navigating the very pressures and temptations we face today, making their guidance all the more potent and relevant. Ultimately, the philosophy of enough is an invitation to live more consciously, more intentionally, and more joyfully. It's a call to reclaim your time, your attention, and your definition of a life well lived from the relentless demands of a culture that often confuses quantity with quality and net worth with self-worth. In summary, escaping the rat race mindset is not about rejecting ambition or material well-being, but about redefining them according to our own deepest values. It involves understanding the psychological traps like hedonic adaptation and societal pressures, and arming ourselves with the timeless wisdom of philosophies like Epicureanism, Stoicism, and Cynicism. These teach us to find joy in simplicity, cultivate inner resilience, and live with purpose. The core insight is that enough is not a destination to be reached through endless acquisition, but a state of mind to be cultivated. It's about appreciating what we have, focusing on what we can control, and deriving satisfaction from intrinsic sources like relationships, personal growth, and meaningful contribution, rather than solely from external validation or material wealth. This shift in perspective is profoundly liberating. This path requires ongoing self-awareness, a willingness to question societal norms, and the courage to define our own metrics for a successful and fulfilling life. It's a journey of aligning our daily actions with our deepest convictions, finding richness not in the quantity of our possessions, but in the quality of our experiences and the depth of our inner peace. The pursuit of enough is, in essence, the pursuit of authentic happiness, a happiness that is robust, sustainable, and rooted in who we are rather than what we have. It's an invitation to live a life of greater meaning, connection, and tranquility, free from the anxieties of perpetual striving. This is the timeless promise held out by these ancient, yet ever-relevant philosophical guides.